Today, we bring together some of the most influential voices shaping the future of real estate, including Nadeem Megji, Arnaud Carcenti, Peter Linneman, Willie Walker, Stuart Miller, Steve Witkoff, and Manny Cadre. We are proud to recognize our presenting sponsors: Blackstone, Douglas Elliman, H&M Development, Cap Morrison Acre LLP, Kislak Family Foundation, Metropolitan Realty Group, and Witkoff. We also extend our sincere appreciation to our platinum sponsors, our prestige sponsors, our premier sponsors, and our partner sponsors. Now let's dive into what's shaping tomorrow's skyline, right here at the 2026 University of Miami Real Estate Impact Conference.
Okay, please get seated. We're going to get going. We have our students taking the stage with us here with their lead professor, Mark Troen. They're going to give you some insights on their survey. So, a lot of talk about AI, right? It's impacting the entire industry. Their survey, they chose the topic to focus on this year, which is great. Just so you know, not necessarily the newest thing to the university. So we have been using AI in the classroom increasingly. We have board members who've been involved. So there's a course called PropTech we've been offering for a number of years, taught by Tigre Wenrich, who's here in the back of the room. We're now opening this up to people as a continuing studies course. That's going to be offered this summer, May and June. We've been using things like TestFit for a number of years. But AI, when I look at it, affects everything we do. So our fall course, site analysis, market analysis, financial analysis, it's playing a role in each one of these things. But we have a lot of talent at the university, and we have a lot of alumni who've been out there doing things too, with Deep Blocks, with Gridix, with Zonar, with other things. So we're on it. We want you to join us on this and take advantage of the fact that we're doing this together. So without further ado, Professor Troen, kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Bohl. Well, welcome, everyone. This is the 8th Annual University of Miami Real Estate Sentiment Survey, which many of you participated in. So let me introduce the team, but first, the first slide is to mention the faculty advisors. I'm the lead faculty for the presentation and the survey. Dr. Bohl was part of that team as well, and Professor Timothy Hernandez was off to the side. But a special shout out to Trish Blasi. She is our sponsor this year from the MRED+U board, and she, CEO and founder of Borghese Investments, added her expertise to the effort. Now, we have a great team today. 6 of our MRED students, I'll introduce them as they deliver their results, and also a call out to Rafael Martinez. Those of you may remember, he was here last year and was on that survey team and added his insights as well. So let's begin. Here's our agenda for the afternoon. You'll see that we'll start off with commercial real estate sentiment, and then we'll do our deep dive into everybody's favorite topic this afternoon, which is AI. So first off, let's introduce Rubens Bravo and Anthony Fultz.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. For some context, let's look at some of the key forces that are driving the South Florida real estate market today. Some of those being tariffs and trade, taxation, and capital constraints, all of which are directly influencing how you, decision makers in this room, are positioning your portfolios today. Now, when we asked you if property values were changing, 4 out of 5 asset classes came in with an up sentiment in 2026. I want to point out that industrial multifamily held strong, but office flipped its negative sentiment of previous years to a positive one coming into the new year. Now, hospitality, on the other hand, was the lone outlier, where 40% of you expected values to come down, and is the only sector where the bears outnumbered the bulls. Now, when we ask your opinion on buying, industrial multifamily and retail, despite their upward positive trends coming into the new year, you said sell. Now, when we look at office, it changed. Sell and hold was the dominant view for the past 6 years, but now it's a buy. This is signaling that investors such as yourself might finally see a bottom forming here.
Now, taking a look across the Tri-County region, our survey shows South Florida remains firmly in expansion through 2026. That's not a coincidence, it's a structural trend. While other metros are sliding into hypersupply or recession, South Florida is holding its growth phase in 2026. When we asked you to evaluate demand across major property types, the top of the market remained unchanged, but the bottom, that's where sentiment shifts. Office and hospitality were clearly perceived as weak over the last 18 months, yet looking ahead the next 5 years, both transition into stable demand. And when we asked you what most deters investment across South Florida, the clearest theme, cost and feasibility. Workforce availability, high rents, and expensive land prices came through as the top constraints. Environmental concerns and regulations sit in a second tier, meaningful but not the primary deal stoppers. And notably, housing affordability and traffic were the least impactful deterrents.
Thank you, Anthony and Rubens. Now, let's turn to our next topic. We'll start our dive into AI, and we're going to hear from Samya Ababou and Jessica Nathanson.
What is AI? Artificial intelligence is a software that learns from large volumes of data to identify patterns, make decisions, and generate outputs without needing explicit programming for each task. In real estate, it doesn't replace manual work, it supports it. When guided by the correct assumptions, AI helps teams make better informed investment decisions. There are 3 types of AI being used in real estate today. Generative AI creates content, as it helps with underwriting narratives or to create market summaries. Examples include ChatGPT and Claude. Predictive AI is about forecasting, as it uses historical and real-time data to identify risk, growth, and the factors of real estate. Examples there include CoStar and Reis forecasting. Last but not least is computer vision. Computer vision is particularly helpful to our architectural and design team as it helps with images, renderings, and videos. Each category serves a different function, but together they help shape the real estate cycle.
What's happening in AI right now is not just technological growth, it's infrastructure development. Nearly over 11,000 data centers exist globally, which require up to 5 times more power than traditional data servers. Looking forward, South Florida is becoming a major global tech hub. Amazon alone expects to spend nearly $200 billion on data centers this year. Palantir, a leading AI and data analytics company, just moved their headquarters to Miami, along with nearly a dozen other global tech firms. Across functions, a consistent pattern is time compression, but it shows up differently depending on the role. In design and development, AI is used for scenario testing as well as conceptual planning. In advisory, it's used to compress research cycles as well as the decision-making process. Lastly, in more technical roles, AI is used to reduce nuances in complex documents. When looking at how often professionals across different role types are using AI, it's clear that adoption is nearly universal. On average, 37% are using AI daily, with the highest use concentrated in investment roles. When taking an even closer look, we found that financial analysts use AI the most often, with over 70% of analysts adopting AI into their daily use. Overall, it's clear that AI adoption is no longer experimental, it's being used every day in standard practice. General purpose AI tools are used far more than specialized real estate platforms. Industry professionals are relying on flexible, one-size-fits-all tools rather than using specific purpose-driven AI tools.
We asked the developers in the room their opinion on AI value creation, and these were the responses. Developers firmly believe that AI can create the most value in the capital markets and zoning stages, the riskiest stages of a deal. On the other hand, where AI is particularly lagging is on the design and construction team, which leads us to believe that AI is most helpful where decisions shape the deal.
Great, thank you, Samya and Jessica. Now, let's turn to our first key takeaway. We'll hear from Eduardo Caballero and Mia Gian.
After parsing through the data provided by you all in our survey, we noticed a unique trend that encapsulates our first key takeaway. The use of AI saves time. The chart before you shows you the correlation between A, the amount of time one reported using AI on a given week, and B, the estimated amount of time saved on their given workflow. And what you notice is that the more one incorporated AI tools on their workflow, the greater the estimated amount of time saved increases by an outsized rate.
When we asked you all what's limiting deeper AI implementation, the primary barrier was lack of training and clear use cases. Firms see the potential, but without a defined operating model, struggle to integrate it into workflow. Next, data accuracy and hallucinations. As we all know, one incorrect assumption can materially affect underwriting. Closely behind that is data security. Real estate runs on proprietary information, and when we input sensitive data into public AI systems, it adds in another layer of risk. Your inputs are sent to provider servers and stored within large cloud infrastructure for extended periods. These interactions are also used to revise future versions of the model, and simultaneously they collect metadata, such as when and where these systems were accessed. All of this underscores that AI requires governance, yet our research shows that most firms still operate with no formal AI policy. Without structure, scaling becomes difficult, leading to our next major concern, hallucinations. A hallucination is when an AI model produces a false output with high confidence. Instead of simply saying, "I don't know the answer," it fills in the gap with something that sounds plausible. This happens because these systems use statistical probability to make predictions. So while these errors may appear convincing on first glance, they're more like an educated guess. In fast-moving markets, this can show up as reliance on outdated data or missing nuances within complex legal or zoning clauses. So then the real question becomes, how do we reduce this risk? First, shifting from public tools to secure systems using RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, meaning the system pulls directly from internal approved data versus publicly available information. Beyond that, precise prompts limit guesswork, and requiring the model to explain its reasoning exposes errors early. Finally, choose the right tool. Domain-specific tools outperform one-size-fits-all models. But in the end, judgment remains with us. AI can synthesize fast and at a scale, but it cannot carry responsibility.
Great. Thank you very much, Mia and Eduardo. Now it's time for our second key takeaway. We'll bring Eduardo back along with Samya.
Up to this point, we've shown you that AI adoption is widespread in our industry today, with an overwhelming reliance on general-purpose large language models. However, this is creating what's known as a commodity problem, where generic prompts create generic responses which render you unable to compete in today's ever-changing landscape. You see, each one of you here have something inherently valuable that ChatGPT does not have by default. Your internal memos, transaction history, and a day-to-day pulse on the market today. To quote Nadeem from Blackstone earlier, it's your data that's the differentiator, not the tool. It's when you begin to layer in the two harmoniously where you can begin to reap the rewards you sowed. It's not the car that wins the race, it's the driver.
Thank you, Eduardo. We captured 3 quotes across 3 different market professionals. 1 from a PE shop, 2 from a residential developer, and 3 from a capital markets broker. And together, they help shape the sentiment of AI will move forward and will help the gaps if you can properly communicate it and have the deal evaluated.
Great, thank you. Now, it's your turn to participate in a live online poll. So in addition to the survey respondents, we're going to ask you to aim your cameras up at this QR code. And the question is, has AI replaced any physical roles in your organization? Simple answer, yes or no. And it's fascinating in light of today's employment numbers where 92,000 people, not the consensus, we thought there'd be a positive, actually lost their jobs in February. So I'm keeping track right now. Please aim your phone up there at that code and I want to see you vote. Now, there are 800 people at least here in the room. So far, I see about 100 responses, so it's an easy yes or no answer. By the way, I won't play the Jeopardy music, but you all know the drill. Within the next 10 to 15 seconds, let's see how you respond to this poll. So let's continue to roll in. I've got now about 150 responses. The rest of you, come on, aim those cameras. Let's see what you have to say. And if we get at least to, all right, we're getting closer to 160, 170. Let's go. Just a few more seconds, all right? We'll count down here. I'll just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's look for our next slide and see what the responses are. Hopefully that slide will come up. All right, folks in the back of the room, media team. Now go back. Let's see there. Aha, so really interesting. So in this room, AI has yet to replace any of those roles, and we certainly hope that continues to be the trend. Great, thank you for participating. Now, let's continue, and we'll continue on and talk about AI in real estate, because frankly, the university is really at the forefront. We've positioned ourselves as a proactive hub for AI integration. So it's not just about the technology, it's not just about the engineers, but it's using it across all of our curriculums and disciplines, from healthcare to music to business and yes, real estate. And here are just some of the examples whereby we are integrating AI into our curriculum to help our students become the future real estate leaders of tomorrow. So let's continue. We'll bring back Eduardo and talk about a final insight.
Thanks for the introduction of artificial intelligence. Knowledge and information has never been more readily accessible than it is today. It's basically leveling the industry for all. Intellectual pedigree is no longer the moat or the competitive advantage that it once was. Creativity is. It's oftentimes not the smartest person in the room that wins the deal these days. The most creative one does. To paraphrase an old Chinese proverb, it is the straight tree that inevitably gets chopped down for wood. And so in these uncertain times where we don't know where AI may go to, think differently, be creative, and if you're going to be a tree, be the bonsai.
So with that thought, I want you to pick up your cameras one more time, aim them at this new QR code, and you can register to receive the full report from the survey team, which will be released after the conference. So take a look at that, and I want to give a big round of applause, hopefully, to everybody here up on the stage. So thank you very much, and let's go to the next session.